Hi, my name is Stephen Charlton from picturethis.com. I want to talk to you today about effective communication. Any form of communication, and for it to be effective, should engage, inspire and inform, persuade or influence your target market, however that happens. That's point one. Point two, what I found in terms of speaking to large and small companies, international companies, it's all about winning the hearts and minds of your audience. It's important that you communicate the emotions that are attached to your message. Doing this in such a way that you choose the right channel of communication to make sure that your audience understands what you're trying to say. So what are you trying to say? It's all very well talking about channels of communication, but what is your proposition? What are you trying to convey to the people? And ultimately, what are we trying to do? As human beings, we assimilate information through our auditory and visual senses. And it's important that essentially that what we need as a sender of information, we need to know that our receivers, our audience, actually retain the information and recall it at a later date. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point? So we've got to be effective. And what do we really mean by effective? And I think through my experience, it comes down to the fact that it makes me happy to know that 2 weeks later, after I've had a discussion or a presentation with somebody, they actually will be able to recall that information and potentially use that information. Isn't that what we all want? Today's world is all about information. It's all about information overload. And again, the computer that we have in our brain, we have filters within our brain to say, well, we've heard it before, we're not interested. We have a choice. We can say we want it or we don't want it. So we've got to make that information relevant to them. So think about it. Before you embark on any form of communication, ensure that you understand who your audience is and what they want to hear, what you want them to hear, and adjust your information accordingly. Once you've got your information, then put that into either a PowerPoint or on a television screen or in an email or in a handwritten letter, depending on what you feel the best way to communicate to that audience. Maybe it's done in a way that they're not used to hearing or seeing or experiencing. And maybe that's where that information that you've got actually sinks in. It has more resonance with your audience. So that's about channeling. A lot of people tend to think that communication is a one-way street, and it certainly isn't. To me, it's a loop. Communication is a way of enacting with other human beings to make sure that they understand what has been said and communicated. And to have that feedback is critical, because once you do have that feedback, number one, it tells you that you're doing the right thing, or number two is the fact that you haven't achieved your objective to communicate effectively. Therefore, you go back to square one and redo what you need to do. Excuse me. At Picture This, essentially, we work with pictures and narration, because as human beings, as I said earlier, we assimilate information best with narration and pictures. And it is my objective in any form of communication that that person who is receiving the information understands what has been said, retains it for as long as possible, and uses it, recalls it at leisure. We've really got to watch out for PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint. We use PowerPoint, Picture This uses PowerPoint as a means of communication through a channel to convey our message. Through a build-up picture, we create one picture. There are no words, no written words on the images at all. It is purely narrated, and that narrator isn't in control of the script. It is a story essentially, and it could be your story. So imagine this, just picture this, that you can communicate effectively your complex business issue through Picture This in a very simplistic form, narrated by you to your audience, so they simply understand and simply get it. Thank you.